Welcome to the heartland of America. It's the 60th anniversary season of the ARCA Racing Series, and it kicks off with race number 11 from right here in Iowa.
Gerhardt on the outside, 4 wide as they come into the triangle, and he'll win again. 8-time winner, Bobby Gerhardt.
The 5 of Bobby Gerhardt was sideways, and we had some contact with a few other cars. Chris Buescher has become the king of Toledo. A big wreck coming out of turn number 4.
Mick Reynolds makes the pass as they go through the triangle. Mick Reynolds will win at Talladega.
He will be the first repeat winner.
Brennan Poole wins at Pocono.
Round we go. And cars flying in their way too quickly, making contact.
Side by side, door to door. It's Buescher winning at Michigan.
It seems like every racetrack we go to, it's side by side and door to door. And now it's short track racing for the Prairie Meadows 200 from Iowa Speedway. Sun beginning to set here in Newton, Iowa. A gorgeous evening. Temperatures falling below 80 degrees now. And the forecast is for clear skies this evening under the lights. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons with you once again as we get ready to start the second half of the season. In the first half of the season, Phil, already 7 different winners have been to Victory Lane.
Yeah, we always see a lot of different winners here in the ARCA Racing Series. We've had 7 guys get to Victory Lane. We have 3 guys that have won 2 different races. As you can see, Brennan Poole, Alex Bowman, and Chris Buescher. And that's no secret because they're 1, 2, 3 in points. But you can look at all the Bobby Gerhardt, as you mentioned, 8 times he's won Daytona. Cale Gale with his first win, along with Brandon McReynolds and Andrew Ranger on the road course.
Now, we've had 7 different winners, but there's some big names that are missing from that list already that could get to Victory Lane.
Yeah, we have several guys that could get to Victory Lane. First being right there, Frank Kimmel. He's starting 10th, a 74-time winner and a 9-time champion in this series. He's had 2 runner-up finishes this year. He certainly could get to Victory Lane. Here's another guy looking for win number 1 in his career, starting 7th, Chad Hockenbraugh. He's had 2 runner-up finishes so far in 2012. And then we go look no further than Matt Lofton, who's starting in the 11th spot here. He also has 2 runner-up finishes here this year in the ARCA Racing Series. He's knocking on the door of a first career win. And then we have a guy that doesn't run all that much, Clay Rogers, but he's a 4-time Pro Cup champion, always runs well, no matter what kind of vehicle he gets in. Look for Clay to be up front tonight, as well as we got a bunch of other guys that could get to Victory Lane.
Yeah, and we saw Clay Rogers really flex his muscle in practice earlier today. He was showing the speed that it is going to take to get to Victory Lane, but it's always a crapshoot. When you come to a short track, a lot of bumping and banging. You never know who makes it to Victory Lane. Of course, until that checkered flag flies. But first, let's get the engines fired. We go for the command.
Iowa Speedway fans, now for the most famous words in racing, the director of marketing for Prairie Meadows, Jeff Nelson and Sons.
Ready, go.
Driver, start your engine.
A very enthusiastic command brings 40 cars to life. We're about to go 200 laps, 175 miles here on Speed.
Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by AutoZone. For the auto parts, accessories, and advice you need, get in the zone. AutoZone. And by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs. And welcome back to Iowa Speedway as we are in the 60th anniversary season of the ARCA Racing Series. We like to take a look back at what has taken place throughout those 60 years. One driver launched his career in the ARCA Racing Series and is the only one who has gone on to win the championship in the Sprint Cup Series. We look back.
Benny Parsons was relatively unknown when he made his ARCA debut in the mid-60s, but he would quickly establish himself as a serious contender, earning back-to-back titles in '68 and '69 and a victory at Daytona, also in '69. With an abundance of talent, experience, and confidence, Parsons sped off to NASCAR, where his success would soon follow. With Parsons' departure from the ARCA ranks, new opportunities opened up for a variety of up-and-coming drivers. Up-and-coming drivers from the tiny town of Keokuk, Iowa. who would dominate the Tour over the next 5 seasons. Drivers such as Ramo Stott, taking back-to-back titles in 70 and 71, before Ron Hutcherson answered with 3 consecutive titles of his own in 72, 73, and 74. Before the decade would end, Dave Dayton, Moose Myers, and Marvin Smith would all write their names in the record books as ARCA champions. However, as the new decade dawned, a weakened economy coupled with the untimely death of ARCA's leader put the series in jeopardy.
And of course, BP very near and dear to our heart.
Yeah, it certainly is. And for us growing up in Detroit, I mean, this was big time for us in Detroit, and that's what got Benny noticed and got him an opportunity to go down south and run in NASCAR and eventually win that championship back in 1973.
Again, the only driver to ever do that, winning the ARCA Racing Series, the championship, and then move on to the Cup Series championship. Take a look at our Menards Pull Award winner. It is the driver of that number 25. Brennan Poole grabs the pole once again. He's already got 2 wins on the season. Can he make it 3 here at Iowa? Well, he will start on the pole and take a look at our starting lineup. On his outside will be the 22 of Alex Bowman. They make up row number 1.
Yeah, those guys have been battling all year at first and second. We saw that great finish at Michigan with with Chris Buescher just narrowly beating Alex Bowman for that win.
Saw that 15 of Ryan Reed, another one of the Venturini Motorsports entries here that is running extremely well. Chad Hockenbrough, Grant Enfinger making up row 4.
Mason Mitchell is from nearby Des Moines, Iowa, and he will make his first ever ARCA Racing Series start with a great qualifying effort at 9th.
Michael Levine, Chris Buescher in row 7.
There's Tommy Hessert. He's a former winner here in the ARCA Racing Series. He's back in row number 8. Josh Williams, Mason Mingus back in row number 9. There's Michael Simcoe making one of his infrequent starts. Milka Duna had a top 10 finish in New Jersey last time out on the road course.
Corbin Forrester driving for Kimmel Racing. Bobby Gerhart, Larry Barford, actually Bobby Gerhart had a brake issue, made some changes. He'll have to start at the back of the field tonight.
There's longtime competitor Darrell Basham back in row number 16. Darrell had a top 15 finish a couple weeks ago.
Making his 300th start in the ARCA Racing Series tonight.
That's right. And James Hilton,
77-year-old James Harvey Hilton.
That is amazing.
Joseph Hughes and Dale Shearer rounding out the 40 cars that will start this race. Take a look at our Team Messina spotlight. For that, we'll go trackside to Jim Prado.
Well, Nelson Canache, guys, has had 20 years of experience on road courses in his native Venezuela and in Mexico. This year, he's making a full-time commitment to the ARCA Racing Series. All but 1 race is on ovals. Last week at New Jersey, his favorite racetrack thus far, because it was a road course, he finished at best 12. Now let's take a look at what happened in practice. Earlier today, Nelson Canache found out exactly what it felt like in this impact. Hard crash in turn number 4, backed the car in the fence. The crew made repairs. He qualified this very same race car he's going to race in tonight. But for this young 34-year-old rookie, he's got a lot to learn, and unfortunately with a bent race car here at Iowa Speedway. Let's check it now with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Jim. One of my favorite things of this job is being in victory lane with a first-time winner. And I think we might see it tonight, because I have my eye on young Eric Jones. He's from up in Michigan, and this kid has been very, very impressive. Now let's take a quick look at the youngest winners in the series history here. It's a very impressive list. James Buescher at the top of that list, but he was 17. If Eric Jones wins tonight, he'll go to the top of that list. He's 16 years old and 2 months, Rick. We're about to go green.
See, the last name on that list was 17 and almost 18 years old.
Right.
That was a full 2.5 years before I ever ran my first race in anything.
So you were an old man.
I was over 20, yes.
Field all in line. Brennan Poole brings the field out of turn 4. Green flag in the air. We're underway at Iowa.
A little bit of contact already. Chad Boat moved down, ran into the 15 of Ryan Reed.
Ryan Reed has the wheels back under him, so he's trying to get by on the back stretch. 45 of Clay Rogers. Still a side-by-side battle for the lead as they come out of turn number 4. Brennan Poole has the advantage, but here comes Alex Bowman to his outside.
Remember this racetrack, Rick, you can run all over it. You can run on the bottom like Brennan Poole. You can run up high like Alex Bowman.
Alex Bowman trying to keep the momentum up as he runs the high side around here. Now tucks in behind the 25 of Brennan Poole. Back in third already, Chad Bowden, the 98. Ryan Reed is fourth, and Clay Rogers fifth.
Eric Jones has got by Clay Rogers. Eric's that 55 car that Ray was talking about. He is now battling for the 4th spot beside Ryan Reed, his teammate.
16-year-old Eric Jones working his way around this 7/8 mile racetrack. Already past that 15 of Ryan Reed, now sets his sights on the 98 of Chad Boat.
Frank Kimmel's coming as well, that 44 car. Frank started back in the 10th spot. He's on the move.
Kimmel in the yellow 44. Menards number 44 out of the Thor Sport Racing stables now. Just behind him, the 45 of Clay Rogers, who's dropped back a few spots after the green flag flew.
There's Chris Buescher, the 17, middle of our screen right there. Chris started back in the 14th position. Remember, already a 2-time winner. 2nd points this year for Chris Buescher.
Riding along with Spencer Gallagher in the 23. Currently in the 16th position. He's got some side-by-side racing just in front of him. Again, a big difference. Hoosier tires on these ARCA racing cars, and the trucks were just on the racetrack in their Goodyear Wrangler rubber, so a different tire compound on the racetrack, probably a little bit to get used to from the start of this race.
Yeah, but with 40 cars starting in this race, it won't take very long at all for those guys to get that Hoosier rubber back down on the racetrack. Chris Buescher has gone up to the high side, chasing down the 32 of Mason Mingus.
Yeah, Mason Mingus just in front of that 17 of Buescher, and now you see Spencer Gallagher in the 23 trying to use the momentum on the outside, riding along with Spencer once again.
Spencer's really got it going here lately. He's last 3 times out, all top 15 finishes, including 2 top 10s.
Now able to get by that 17. Came from the high side, went down low on the inside of Chris Buescher.
Remember, this racetrack has progressive banking. The banking in the turns is from 12 down at the bottom all the way up to 14 degrees at the top. So you don't typically have to run on the bottom of the racetrack like we see at so many of our short tracks.
Still out in front, Brennan Poole, Alex Bowman, Chad Boat. That's the gap between 1 and 2 as they come up on the 48 of James Harvey Hilton, putting him a lap down. So Brennan Poole has about a 4-second or 4/10 of a second lead over Alex Bowman.
Yeah, that equates to about a 3 or 4 car length lead right now for Brennan Poole.
One of the tricky things that they'll have to deal with at this point in time during the day is the sun setting. So there will be a little bit of sun in their eyes as they come out of turn number 2 and into turn 3.
To keep an eye on that bright yellow. It's not hard to keep an eye on that 44 car, Frank Kimmel, but that car is on the move. Frank has been among the top 2 or 3 fastest cars every lap here since the start of the race.
Only 2 drivers have been to victory lane before that are in the field tonight. One of those being the 44 of Frank Kimmel. Jim.
No chatter on the radio from the driver, but about a half an hour ago I talked to Frank. He looked very calm and relaxed. He said, I've had a good feeling about this race car all week. We went 70 laps on our first set of tires today. We think there'll be some long runs here, so as much as I love the new tires and how they fall off and how he gave pace, Frank Kimmel advancing here is not a surprise, as he got fresh tires on in his mock run and was second quick in practice. So indeed, Frank is confident today might be the day to break that streak of winless streaks in September 2008.
It's been so long, and he's still so close to Iggy Katona, who holds the record for most wins in this series. As we see the smoker, the 64 of Joseph Hughes.
He got that down off the racetrack pretty quick. ARCA officials are looking at the racetrack right now to make sure he didn't drop anything on the racetrack, but we stay green.
And Joseph Hughes is going to make his way onto pit road and back into the garage. Take a look last time by.
Right before the start finish line, you see a little bit of smoke coming out the exhaust pipes. You can see right there, it doesn't appear that he put anything down on the racetrack, but more than likely will be terminal.
Battle for the 4th position. At 15 of Ryan Reed, just in front of the 55 of Eric Jones. So Reed has been able to get back by Eric Jones.
We talked about Frank Kimmel and how fast he was moving up. Once he caught this side-by-side battle here, he kind of stalled out. He wasn't able to do anything with those two cars. Now Clay Rogers is pulling to his inside to try to take over that spot from Frank Kimmel.
Clay Rogers takes it as he had the 0-4 of Larry Barford Jr. on his inside.
Clay's going after the 55 of Eric Jones.
Brennan Poole, Alex Bowman, Chad Boat, Ryan Reed, and Eric Jones, your top 5 at Iowa. 14 laps into this one. Tomorrow right here on Speed, it's the truck's turn to do battle in the Hawkeye State. You know the short track always brings out the talons. To go the distance, you're going to have to survive the destruction. Don't miss NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Iowa tomorrow at 8 Eastern, live on Speed. 19 laps into this one, and still out front is Brennan Poole. He has a 3.5-second lead over Alex Bowman.
It wasn't that long ago when we were talking about him having a 4/10 of a second lead, about 4 car lengths, and he has really opened it up. Fast laps for Brennan Poole. Over 4 seconds now back to Alex Bowman in second.
Continues to click off very consistent lap times. Brennan Poole having success already this year. He's been out front and won 2 times. He went back-to-back Elko and Pocono. Trying to make it 3 times this year here at Iowa. And again, Frank Kimmel, one of the 2 drivers that have been to victory lane. Tom Hessert is the other one. Tom driving for Ken Schrader in the number 52 car.
That's Grant Enfinger right now going by Frank Kimmel. Grant has moved up to the 7th spot.
Still working on the bottom of the racetrack. Kimmel falls back, running a little bit higher line.
We watched Frank charge up to the 2 Venturini cars, the 15 of Ryan Reed and the 55 of Eric Jones, and then his progress stalled out. Clay Rogers was able to get by him. Now Grant Enfinger has been able to get by him.
Looks like the handling has gone away just a bit on that 44 for Kimmel. So he'll try to hold on until he can get it to the attention of his crew on pit road. Get Brennan Poole with almost a 4-second lead over Alex Bowman out in front. Now you see the 2 Venturini cars battling side by side. Eric Jones and Ryan Reed.
Whoa.
Eric Jones coming up really close to Darrell Basham in that 34.
Yeah, Ryan kind of used Darrell Basham as a pick, and he just about ran his teammate right into Darrell.
And Ryan Reed in the 15 down at the bottom of the racetrack. Now his teammate follows him. Eric Jones in the 55. They're going by that 5 of
Bobby Gerhart. Bobby's already a lap down. See, Grant Enfinger now has moved to within 3 or 4 car lengths of that battle.
Chad Hockenbraugh in the 58 stuck behind the 5 as they work their way through the turn. These 2 nose to tail continuing to fight for position. Again, Eric Jones just 16 years old in that 55, trailing the 15 of Ryan Reed. Here's the race leader coming up on some slower lap traffic. Brennan Poole in the 25. It has about a 4-second gap between he and second place Alex Bowman.
That's Michael Levine right there in the 95 car. Michael right now is running in the 19th position.
Already a lap down.
Yeah, that's how torrid a pace that Brennan Poole right now is setting. Alex Bowman just went by. There's Chad Boat in the 98 car. Talked to his dad Billy, a former IndyCar star. He said, we wanted to try this. This is Chad's first start here in the ARCA Racing Series. We want to get him some mile-and-a-half experience. We're going to start here, but we're going to run later on this year at Kansas on the mile-and-a-half of the ARCA Racing Series. Chad's done a lot of K&N racing, both East and West, but a nice, ambitious program for Chad and doing a great job. He's coming under attack right now from the 45 of Clay Rogers, but good early run so far for Chad.
Yeah, Chad Boat has experience in these heavier stock cars, as you mentioned, the K&N Pro Series.
See curb records on the hood of Chad's car. Mike Curb helps Chad in the east in the west stuff he runs. Very much a huge benefactor in our sport, involved with just about every one of the series.
You see Clay Rogers now trying to make the move. Beard oil number 45. Working to the bottom of the racetrack, both of them trying to hug that yellow line as they work their way through 3 and 4 and in front of the grandstands.
Great facility here at Iowa Speedway. This is one of our newer racetracks. Our first race here was 2006. That was an ARCA Racing Series race that was won by Steve Wallace, Rusty's son, and Rusty was so involved with the building of this racetrack and is one of the owners even as we speak.
Yeah, this is just the 7th ARCA race here, and we've never had a repeat winner.
Wade just about got his nose up beside of Chad's left rear quarter panel. It's Milka Duna in the 94 car. She runs right now in the 23rd position.
So again, Chad Boat just in front of Clay Rogers. Boat running in the 3rd position. Jim Trano.
He qualified really well here, guys, but one main reason why Chad Boat decided this to be the track that he made his ARCA debut, his dad and Chad sat down and said, where do we want to go next? They raced the K&N Pro Series East last year and this year. They're looking at maybe a 2013 full run in ARCA. They picked the track where Chad has had experience at. He finished 12th here in May in a backup car in the K&N Pro Series East race. He'll come back here in September again with that series again. But Chad will race maybe 3 or 4 races here. What a great start with he and his crew chief Mike Dayton making the right call thus far and running top 5.
He's actually chasing down the 22 car of Alex Bowman, moving right in on him. That right there is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Alex Bowman in the 22, Chad Boat in the 98. Clay Rogers in the 45. Again, working around the slower lap traffic. We've gone 33 laps without a caution, and that has enabled Brennan Poole to put quite a few cars a lap down. Now 16th, Mingus, the next car to go a lap down. So 16 cars on the lead lap. Brennan Poole, Alex Bowman, 1 and 2 in Iowa. Brennan Poole out to a 7-second lead over Bowman. Sunday, it's NASCAR race day, and it is must-see TV. DW, the King, and Jeff Gordon explain why the driver-crew chief relationship is so critical. Smoke, Rowdy, the Rocket Man, and Sliced Bread join us live. NASCAR race day, fueled by Sunoco from New Hampshire. That's Sunday, 10 Eastern, only on Speed.
Check this out now. That's the 25-hour leader, Brennan Poole. That 17 car, 2 cars ahead of him is Chris Buescher, our runner-up point man right now. He starts this race 25 points behind, and he's just about to go a lap down.
That doesn't happen very often.
Well, Chris Buescher this year has had an incredible season. Had a 20th place finish at Daytona, 17th at Talladega. Every other finish, top 7s.
You know, it's always fun to have someone in the booth that has pretty much hands-on knowledge of what takes place in one of these race cars, and we have that advantage tonight. We've got Joey Coulter joining us up here in the booth. Joey, congratulations on all the successes. Obviously, here at this racetrack, you have had success. You finished 3rd in this race back in 2009 in the ARCA Racing Series.
Yeah, it's always been a good track to us, at least speed-wise. We always seem to run into some bad luck towards the end of a race, but it's always been one of my favorite places to race.
And now you've made the transition into the trucks full-time for RCR.
Looked like you had a pretty good truck today in practice.
Yeah, it's not bad. We got some work to do. Harold and I weren't super excited about it. I mean, we were okay, but we feel like the ThorSport trucks are really good right now, so we feel like to beat them, we got to be a little bit better.
Joey, what's your truck number?
22.
Hey Ray, what's going on with the 22 car?
I'll tell you, Rick, it's been interesting listening. You know, they just lost a spot. Clay Rogers went around him, so they have dropped back to 3rd. But crew chief Paul Andrews came on and said, why don't you shut your front fans off? Maybe that'll help you on your exit. And Alex said, no, the car feels really good. It's just losing speed. But I just looked at the scoring, and Alex Bowman not much slower than our leader, Brennan Poole, but he is losing ground. He's back to 3rd right now.
Yeah, Clay Rogers has been able to take that 2nd spot away, but still 8 seconds behind race leader Brennan Poole. So Poole out in front, Clay Rogers, Alex Bowman, Chad Boat, and Grant Enfinger, your top 5. It's Chad Boat in the 98, Enfinger in the 36. battle for the 4th spot.
Grant Enfinger is not one of the guys that runs full time, but always competitive when he does run. I was talking to him in the garage area earlier. I know he's going to run our short track race at LOR, Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis, a little bit later on. And whatever they can come up with sponsorship for, that's what they're going to do. This is the team owned by Justin Allgaier, star of the Nationwide Series and a former champion here in the ARCA Series.
Joe, it just seems like they've got so many different racing lines around here. We're seeing 2 distinctly different ones now between Enfinger and Chad Boat.
Yeah, that's one of the really fun things about this racetrack from a driver's standpoint is, you know, if the bottom's not working, you can slide up to the middle, you can go to the top, you can enter high, come out low. There's a lot of different things you can do that make it a lot of fun. I noticed in practice today they did some work on the bump that used to be really big in the middle of 1 and 2 over the tunnel. They did a great job smoothing it out, so I think that in the race, I mean, it's showing up here right now, but it's definitely going to widen the grooves out a bunch.
I talked to a lot of the drivers, Joey, just like you, and asked them about the bump, because that has historically been a problem here, is the bump over the tunnel, and said, nah, I haven't really noticed it. I know it's there, but it hasn't been that bad. So undoubtedly, as you said, the track officials here jacked that thing up a little bit and made it a lot better.
Yeah, it's like I said, it was a night and day difference compared to last year.
Taking a look at that bump area in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Again, as they come in to this racetrack from underneath the tunnel just below that. Brennan Poole out in front, but the gap is closed. Clay Rogers just 7 seconds back now.
Sunday, immediately following the Sprint Cup race from New Hampshire, turn to Speed for comprehensive post-race coverage on NASCAR Victory Lane. JR, Kenny Wallace, and Jeff Hammond celebrate with the winner and break down the biggest moments from the Magic Mile. NASCAR Victory Lane, immediately following the race right here on Speed.
No better place to be than in Victory Lane, and it would be a celebrated event by any one of the drivers in tonight's field if they could get there. How about Zachary Ralston in the 90? We're able to ride along with Zach.
Yeah, Zach is in the ORingsales.com Chevy, starting from the 23rd position. This is his 4th start of 2012.
Zachary carries one of our onboard cameras, as does Nelson Canache. Nelson, one of the RAD drivers, the Racing Against Drugs drivers, also part of the Stay on Track program. And he had an issue earlier. Take a look at this, just this last lap.
That's Tom Birdie in the 35. You see him get a little bit sideways, and then Jared Marks gets by on the outside. Tommy Hessert on the inside.
So a close call there for Nelson Canache. And again, he had problems in practice, as Jim Trado documented earlier. Backed that car into the wall. They did a lot of damage, worked on the rear clip. That is the same car that Venturini Motorsports Group went to work and put it back together, and right now currently running in the 22nd position.
Looks like he still has his hands full. Being shown right now 2 laps down.
Jim Trado, I'm sorry, Ray, what's happening with that 17?
Well, Rick, it's interesting. You know, these teams have to make a big decision on what car to bring to this racetrack. Some think of it as a short track, some think of it as a small super speedway. And the Rulo brothers decided to bring their Pocono car this weekend. That's what Chris Buescher is driving, and so far it has not been good tonight. They made a lot of wholesale changes during practice on this car, but he said it's tight on entry and even tighter on exit. So Gary Rulo said we're going to make some big changes when we get that first pit stop, and we have a car that's slow on the track. Could be a caution. So far we're at lap 60 and we're caution free.
Yeah, Josh Williams in the 0-2 slow on the racetrack. We've already seen the 40 of Roger Carter make his way onto pit road. A little bit of side-by-side movement. Could we be out of gas already? Is that way too early, I would think.
I think these guys, remember, these still have 22-gallon fuel cells. Josh went way high over in 3 and 4 the previous time by. Looks like he's not under par right now as he tries to make his way to pit road. He is going to get to pit road. Maybe the left front tire down. He's trying to keep that from tearing up the bodywork on that car.
And he glides onto pit road and will go to the attention of his crew here shortly.
With Roger Carter leaving pit road, as you mentioned. I think there's a hub. You can see right now the hub, or he's got a lower control arm, upper control arm, something like that broke on the right front.
And he stops on pit road. Again, a big gap between Brennan Poole and Clay Rogers. 5.3 seconds between 1 and 2. There's your race leader, Brennan Poole. He's been out front all 61 laps. Currently on lap 62 of 200.
That's the most anybody has led from the start of the race. The previous record was 59, and that was Brennan Poole at Michigan. Michigan's a 2-mile racetrack. This racetrack here, a 7/8 of a mile racetrack. But his lead now is down to about 5 seconds. Last time we mentioned it, it was over 7 seconds over Clay Rogers. Clay continually running fast laps around here. That last lap, he was the fastest car on the racetrack.
Field all spread out around the 7/8 mile oval here at Iowa. Riding along with Nelson Canache once again. You see Clay Rogers in the 45 able to get by.
Remember, we talked about at the very top of the show the guys that are knocking on the door and may get to victory lane to be the 8th different winner here in 2012. Clay Rogers is one of the guys we were talking about. Right now running second, inside of 5 seconds behind that 25 car of Brennan Poole.
One of the things that, as I'm watching this, 64 laps in and no caution in sight, does a driver ever, in a situation like this, fear a green flag pit stop potentially in the ARCA Racing Series? We don't see that very often.
I think, you know, for some of the guys that haven't done it, it's definitely something to think about. I know I never really practiced green flag stops until I got into the Truck Series. You know, then I was like really thinking about them a lot. So I think it's definitely something. I don't know if they really worry about it, but it's not something that I think they practice.
So much time can be lost or gained on pit road, not only by the pit crew, but the driver, how he gets to pit road, how he gets down pit road, and then certainly off pit road as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge part of it that you know, it was a big wake-up call for me really when I got into the Truck Series, how big of a difference, you know, just 100 feet faster rolling through 3 and 4 coming to pit road can be, you know, 8 seconds on a green flag pit stop. It's pretty big.
And right now, the gap between 1 and 2 is 4.5 seconds. Brennan Poole, Clay Rogers, Grant Infinger, Alex Bowman, and Chad Boat, your top 5. Under the lights at Iowa Speedway. It's the ARCA Racing Series. Tomorrow, Joey Coulter gets to go to work. He's got to practice. And then on speed, we've got the Camping World Truck Series qualifying at 6:30 Eastern. The setup with Chris Devoda at 8 o'clock. And the American Ethanol 200 gets underway at 8:30 p.m. Eastern right here on Speed. Joey Coulter joining us up here in the booth alongside Phil Parsons. I'm Rick Allen. And we are watching something that we have not seen before to our recollection. 73 green flag laps, closing in on the halfway point of this race, closing in on green flag pit stops of this race, and a caution has not come out.
Yeah, very, very unusual. We don't see a whole bunch of green flag pit stops. We did see some in Michigan not that long ago, but that's just a testament to the talent in this series, and these guys doing a great job. We've got some slower cars. They're staying out of the way. The guys with the faster cars.
Leader trouble. The wall. Brennan Poole up into the wall, coming through turn number 2. Sparks flying out the right side of that race car, and the caution comes out.
Probably cut down a right front tire. That's not something we were expecting, especially from our leader. Brennan Poole has been running so well this race. You see the right front tire is down. Did not make a great deal of contact with the outside wall.
Chased it up the racetrack, and it looks as though, as you mentioned, just a grazing of that wall with the right side of that car.
Nobody expected this long to run here. We've run, it was 74 green flag laps as we were talking about. Never given these tires a chance to cool off at all, because you're turning down the front straightaway here, Joey. The only straight part of the racetrack is straight. I mean, the backstretch.
And let's go down pit road, Ray Dunlap.
Well, the big question was, were they pushing it too fast? Billy Venturini, the crew chief, had just asked him 2 laps prior to that, do you need to slow down a little bit? He was running 25/70s, which was 3 or 4 tenths faster than the rest of the field. The crew is looking inside to see if there's any damage or whether they can just replace it. They're going to get a hammer and beat that fender out a little bit. They'll see if they can just put a tire on or whether there's any damage to the suspension. Back to Jim.
Leaders are coming down pit road right now. The leaders are coming down. The first car to hit me is the 5th place car of Chad Boat. Boat in his ARCA debut will have the pit crew for RAB Racing over the wall with him. The car got extremely tight. They're going to put 4 Hoosiers on the number 98 Celebrity Fight Night Chevrolet. Again, Chad Boat in his debut here. 4 tires, fixing a tight condition.
Let's go to Ray. 45 car has said his car is really, really neutral, especially on entry. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment on the right front. You see Beard Oil Company on the hood of that car. They come around. This will be a 4-tile stop. They're going to get fuel in this thing, Sunoco fuel. And the 22 also saying he likes his car in entry. Paul Andrews told him they're going to make a wedge adjustment.
Clay Rogers coming on to pit road as your race leader, as you see the 25 working around or trying to get around that 22 of Alex Bowman. Again, the first car onto pit road was the 25. Take another look. Here's our leader going into turns 1 and 2.
You can see that right front tire go down. He does a nice job not making any harder contact with the outside safer barrier.
Just
scrub along the wall there a little bit.
Yep, kissing that wall.
What you have to worry about in a situation like that is breaking a brake rotor when you make contact with a wall, but it didn't appear as though that happened to him.
Aaron's lucky dog goes to the 52 of Tom Hessert. We talked about only 2 drivers have been to victory lane here before in the ARCA Racing Series, and Tom Hessert is one of those. So he'll get a lap back. When we come back, the green flag. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Ansell. For over 100 years, the world leader in hand protection. Welcome back to the cornfields of Iowa. The first caution has come out. It was the 25 race leader, Brennan Poole, who cuts a right front tire and gets up into the wall in turn number 2. Billy Venturini, the crew chief on that team, calling for his driver to come back onto pit road. They continue to do work on that race car. It was out in front, had about a 4.5 second lead on the field. With the right front tire cut down and up into the wall he went. Caution came out immediately. He came onto pit road, so trying to stay on the lead lap, which right now only has 10 cars. So if he could stay on the lead lap, he's in a pretty good situation.
Yeah, certainly is. And if they can get that toe adjusted, as we watch again at what happened to him right down here in the center of 1 and 2, that tire goes down. He gets it woed up pretty good, makes slight contact with the outside wall. I think they've been working to make sure, Ray, that that everything's straight and trying to get that toe straight as well.
Yeah, and Phil, they put a big piece of orange tape right on the center of the steering wheel, and when Brennan came to pits last time, that thing was to the left about 1.5 inches. So they have loosened up the nut on the side. They're adjusting that toe, and they decided we might as well just get it fixed right here. But by doing that, they're going to lose a lap on pit road. So we'll see if they're able to get this car back in contention. Let's go to the other end of pit road and check in with Jim on the 12 car.
Just an update on Justin Marks. A very strong run for that Dodge. That 18-year-old young man on a very strong run here. He told me before the race he loves this racetrack. He climbed into the top 10 of that premium VIP Dodge. Unfortunately, I think he went too fast on exit. They changed 4 tires, made an adjustment, but he was a little anxious leaving pit road. He'll have to come down for a stop and go, guys.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. So Jared Marks will have to come down and serve that penalty, as we see the 25 opting to not to try to stay on the lead lap and get that car straight, so that they can go back out and try to be as competitive as they were to start this race, which he led virtually 76 laps before that caution came out.
There's the 90 Zach Ralston, the O-Ring.com Chevrolet. Zach right now is being shown in the 25th position.
Zach scored 3 laps down to the field. Nelson Canache again. Problems in his practice run from earlier on the back of that race car. He's 20th now, and he has scored 2 laps down.
There's Spencer Gallagher in the Legion Air Chevrolet. Spencer right now is one of the cars that's on the lead lap. He's being shown in the 8th position.
Next time by, green flag will come back out. Remember, in the ARCA Racing Series, lead lap cars are on the outside, lap down cars on the inside.
There's Brennan Poole. Now, right now, all he's thinking about is getting in position to possibly get an Aaron's lucky dog. The one Tom Hessert just got, the most recent.
Grant Enfinger out in front of Clay Rogers, Alex Bowman, Chad Vogt, and Eric Jones. Green flag back in the air. Great restart for Enfinger, and here comes Clay Rogers on the outside. Look at the momentum the 45 has as they rocket down the backstretch, racing for the lead.
Clay is going to waste no time going for that front spot. He has Alex Bowman, the 22 car, in tow.
Side by side through 3 and 4. Clay Rogers on the outside. Grant Enfinger on the inside. Rogers is going to lead that lap, that time by.
Clears Grant Enfinger. Now Alex Bowman side by side with the 36 of Grant Enfinger.
Racing for that second spot now.
Heavy traffic behind them.
And Bowman now is out in front. Takes the spot away from Enfinger. So after Enfinger started up front, he's already dropped back to third after just 2 laps of racing.
Eric Jones has the 4th spot. Chad Boat, the 98 car, trying to take that spot from him.
Also on the lead lap, Chad Hockenbrough, Frank Kimmel, Spencer Gallagher, Ryan Reed, Mitchell, Marks, and Hessert. They're the 12 that are on the lead lap.
Michael Simcoe, the 41 car, in the middle of a sandwich, as we have a battle for the lead shaping up.
Alex Bowman on the bottom of the racetrack trying to get by Clay Rogers. Rogers running up a little bit higher, has the momentum. Down the back stretch they go, side by side, door to door.
Remember, Alex Bowman already a 2-time winner here in the series.
Clay Rogers holding tough on the high side.
That's 2012 in the series. 4-time winner altogether.
And Alex Bowman has taken the point here at Iowa, Ray.
2 things to keep in mind here, Rick. Number 1, Alex Bowman told his crew chief Paul Andrews that he was just a little bit loose, and if you can tighten me up, we're good enough to win. They went down 2 rounds on the track bar on that last pit stop. But for Clay Rogers, they dropped the air pressure a little bit because he said he's really good on the long run. They're not worried about losing this spot right now because they think it'll come back to them.
Thanks, Ray. Alex Bowman out in front. It started second in this one, but has been able to get by the field to get in front. Hockenbrough in the 58s, just behind that 32 of Mason Mingus.
And Mingus is a lap down right now. Chad Hockenbrough in the 6th spot. See the 44 Frank Kimmel behind Hockenbrough. There's Chris Buescher, the 17. Remember, Chris Buescher is a lap down. Right now, Matt Lofton, the 16 car, is running 13th, and he is the first car 1 lap down. He is in position, if the caution flag were to come out, to get that Aaron's lucky dog.
Buescher in the 17 as we ride along with Spencer Gallagher. Gallagher holding on to the 8th spot. I'm very impressed with the 6th, driven by Mason Mitchell, making his first ever ARCA start and running in the top 10 right now. We see some good side-by-side racing continuing.
Again, that is not a battle for position, just track position. Right. Chad Hockenbrough on the lead lap. Mason Mingus not. Been watching that 20-25 car. There's Ryan Reed, the 15 car. Ground right now is being shown in the 9th spot. There's Brennan Poole. That car is still obviously something wrong with that car. He's already gone 2 laps down, just riding it out right now.
Yeah, off the pace after showing such an impressive start to this one, dominating the beginning of this race, and then the right front tire goes down. We can see a little bit of tire rub there, some smoke coming off by the fender of Brennan Poole. How frustrating is that, Joey? You had virtually the winning car for the first half of this race, and then cutting the right front tire down and can't keep pace.
It's pretty frustrating. It gets even more frustrating the farther you go into a race and have that happen. But I think they got a little bit more than they thought they did into the fence. I was just looking at his left front tire here on the screen, and you can really see how much wheel he's having to pull into it to get through the corner.
So Clay Rogers running in the 2nd spot. Alex Bowman out in front in the 22. And it's Grant Enfinger who's dropped back to 3rd. Eric Jones in 4th. Chad Boat in 5th. There's Jones and Boat. Oh, and Boat checked up quickly there in the 98. You saw them go from about a car length in between the 2 of them to 4 car lengths separating those 2.
Yeah, Chad had some sort of an issue at the exit of turn number 2.
Closing in on the halfway point, 106 laps remaining in this 200-lap race. Chad Boat in the 5th spot. Chad Hockenbrough behind him. Up in front of Boat is that 55 of Eric Jones. Joey, I know that you've got a busy day ahead of you tomorrow, so best of luck in the Camping World Truck Series race. We'll practice and qualifying tomorrow just before.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for letting me come hang out. It's been fun.
Always love the inside of drivers who have driven in the ARCA Racing Series and very recently, and also going to be on the track tomorrow in the Camping World Truck Series. Right now, it's Alex Bowman in front of this field. Monday night with the race to make the chase heating up. Larry Mack and Matt Clark are in the hub to break down the action from New Hampshire. Plus, you'll hear directly from the drivers and get the latest silly season updates. Who knows? We might hear from Matt Kenseth as to officially where he's going to be in 2013. NASCAR Race Hub Monday at 6 Eastern, only on Speed.
It's a great battle right here for the 7th spot. Spencer Gallagher, the 23, has it. Frank Kimmel right now trying to get by him. There's Brennan Poole, who now is at least 3 laps down. But just a couple laps ago, these guys had a bit of a moment, Rick.
Yeah, Frank Kimmel in the 44. Take a look at this. He's trying to get by on the outside, and Larry Barford Jr. in the 04, not quite as quick as he is. He had to check up to go to the inside of him.
This is Spencer Gallagher's onboard camera, the Legion Air onboard camera. Watch this now. He sees that happening. He just drives on by. He was already in the throttle. That has him that spot over Frank Kimmel, and Frank's trying to get it back now.
Spencer Gallagher a little bit loose there, it looked like. You saw him wiggle out of that 23 as the 44 of Kimmel was right on his back bumper. There's Clay Rogers just in front of Grant Enfinger. Again, those two are running second and third. So
they've fallen about a second and a half behind our leader right now, Alex Bowman.
Now Alex Bowman trying to check out the way Brennan Poole did from the drop of the green flag. While these two are working through the slower lap traffic, Clay Rogers has about a 5-car length lead over Grant Enfinger. Back behind them in the 98, it's Chad Boat, then Eric Jones, Chad Hockenbraugh, Spencer Gallagher, Frank Kimmel. The 6 of Mason Mitchell still impressing me as he has moved up to the 9th spot, just his ARCA debut here. And Ryan Reed in the 10th spot, in that number 15. Jared Marks, Tom Hesser, the 12 cars that are still on the lead lap.
There's Mason Mitchell right there, the 6 car out of Eddie Sharp Racing. Eddie's a former champion owner in the series with Justin Lofton back in 2009.
Yeah, and Eddie Sharp really, he sees talent. He can see the young talent, and this is definitely a young, talented driver in Mason Mitchell. Jim.
Well, Eddie Sharp is doing one more step to make sure that this young man gets the best opportunity with his team. Yes, he's a former ARCA Series champion team owner, but Eddie Sharp now is calling the shots from the spotter stand. Eddie is coaching his driver about patience. He's talking about how good his line is, where he should watch on the racetrack. So Eddie Sharp spotting up on top of the tower, told me before the race he'd like to develop a young driver like Mason Mitchell full-time in the ARCA Series next year.
Jim Trader, we got a great battle for second on the left side of the screen and another battle for the 8th spot on the right side of the screen. You mentioned Eddie Sharp. We've got a feature on Eddie Sharp tomorrow night in the setup, talking about what he has been able to do making the transition from ARCA to the Camping World Truck Series.
Yeah, Eddie's been all in this year in the Camping World Truck Series. He bought a lot of the assets of KHI, Kevin Harvick Incorporated, running 2 full-time trucks right now with Cale Gale and Justin Lofton, and those guys are doing a terrific job.
Splendid job, and we see now Mason Mitchell in the 6, trying to go by 9-time ARCA Series champion and 74-time race winner Frank Kimmel.
Extremely impressive job by Mason Mitchell right here in this 6 car. Just the fact that he's racing up with Frank Kimmel, and Frank's running in the top 10. It's not like Frank is way off the pace. He's running up in the top 10. He's going to use Nelson Canache's lap car for a pick right now and to jump out in front of Mason Mitchell. But again, great job by Mason Mitchell. Again, we're over halfway now, Rick. 90 laps to go.
Mason Mitchell, a local. He is from West Des Moines, just down the road about 25 miles from here. Jim Trado.
Real quick update on Frank Kimmel, number 44, Ansel Menard's Toyota. His race car has been better on the outside groove. When he was battling early on with Grant Enfinger, his crew chief, Jared Prince, said you were 0.6 of a second faster on that lap on the outside. So it's no stranger why Frank Kimmel likes the outside groove. As he's racing with these guys, you can see the traffic. He's in ahead of that yellow car. Kimmel again using the outside line. Had a lot of issues later in the run, the first section we'll see indeed if they have it fixed here as the car continues to like it better on the outside for Kimmel.
The problem right now for Frank Kimmel is that he has Mason Mingus right now, who is a lap down, that's running the exact line that Frank wants to run.
Mason Mingus in front of him. Mason Mitchell on the inside.
Looks like Mitchell has him cleared here. If Eddie will tell him he's clear.
Mason Mitchell takes the spot away from Frank Kimmel, moves up into the 8th position. Alex Bowman with a 1.5 second lead over Clay Rogers. Grant Infinger, Chad Boat, and Eric Jones, your top 5 from Iowa Speedway. Welcome back. Only the second caution has come out, and the same driver has brought both of them out. Brennan Poole in the 25, another right front tire issue. So after 115 laps from Iowa Speedway with just 85 laps remaining, the problems for the Venturini Motorsports entry of Brennan Poole continues.
Yeah, they certainly do. It actually happened in exactly the same spot here. Pit road is open. Most of the lead lap cars are staying on the racetrack. They know they're right on the edge of their pit window, but they really don't want to put their last set of tires on. But I think it's a great move by some of these guys towards the end of the lead lap here to come in, Jim.
Well, Frank Kimmel indeed said it was tight in the middle, loose off, and he said it pushed like a train. He said he's been loose everywhere. He needs forward bite and a pressure adjustment. So that's what they'll do on that Menards Toyota here. Frank told me before the race we may go green here or stay out on a caution because there's only 2 extra sets of tires in the pits. They're going to change 4 again for Kimmel here. That's his last set of tires on the 44, Ray.
22 decided to stay out. Paul Andrews given the thought process to his driver that they'd like to get to like 140 before they put their final set of tires on, so that there's no chance there's any issue that they're pushing that right front too hard. So the leader, 22 Bowman, stays on the racetrack.
And that's only 24 laps from now to get to 140. So not a lot of time, and potentially another long green flag run here at Iowa. And welcome back to Iowa Speedway. Getting ready for the restarts. Out in front of the field, it's Alex Bowman. Decided to stay out on the track, not come on to pit road. The Prairie Meadows 200. The Aaron's Lucky Dog going to Matt Lofton in the 16. He'll get a lap back. That puts him in the 13th spot, and 13 cars on the lead lap here at Iowa.
Top 9 stayed on the racetrack right now in 10th. Ryan Reed, Frank Kimmel, Tom Hessert, and Matt Lofton all made pit stops, so they know they can go probably till the end on fuel. But these guys here that didn't stop, they can probably go almost to lap 170 or something like that. They can go a long way, but we've seen a lot of long green flag runs in these races.
Green flag coming back out. Alex Bowman, Clay Rogers, Grant Infinger, Chad Boats, and Eric Jones, your top 5. Again, lap down cars able to start on the inside line. Frank Kimmel again on the lead lap in the 44, working around some of the slower lap down cars.
That's the 15 of Ryan Reed right in front of him. That is a battle for the 10th spot. Frank moves to the outside to try to take over that 10th spot. There's Jared Marks, the 12 car. Jared does a nice job here. Young driver, just turned 18 a few weeks ago. Made his super speedway debut. I think it was at Pocono. I think he had a top 10 finish there, if I'm not mistaken.
And Kimmel looking to the inside now of Marks. Makes a great pass and continues forward.
Yeah, Jared finished 7th in his super speedway debut right after he turned 18 at Pocono. Meanwhile, back up front, Alex Bowman has the lead. Clay Rogers is chasing him down. Grant Infinger right there, top 3.
Top 3. You can throw a blanket over him as you see Infinger working to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get by Clay Rogers. He's got the right front quarter panel underneath him.
See Grant Infinger right against the yellow line. Actually, his left side tire is right on the yellow line, and Clay Rogers about 2.5 lanes up.
Drag race for second. Infinger on the bottom of the track. Rogers on the outside. Infinger slides as they come out of turn number 4, able to hang on to it, but that gives the advantage to Rogers once again.
And Grant never backed off. He stayed right with it, going back after him here in 1 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2, excuse me.
Down the backstretch they go, side by side, door to door. Once again, Enfinger trying it on the bottom of the track again. While these two continue to race side by side, Alex Bowman holding on to a 4-car length lead over second.
He's really not getting away from these guys as hard as they're racing for the second spot. Alex has not been able to drive away from them.
Top three have separated themselves from Chad Boat running in the 4th position. He's 2 seconds back. Still Clay Rogers has the 2nd spot. Enfinger on the bottom of the track. Then Braylon Holmes, number 36. Still working side by side. This is for second. Enfinger now has the advantage as they go down the backstretch. Can he continue it through 3 and 4?
Great racetrack when you can see these guys run side by side, lap after lap, lap after lap. It doesn't look like, oh, caution is out again.
This time into the wall is at the 66
no,
of
it's
Nelson.
the 99 of Brandon Davis.
99 of Davis into the wall, bringing out the caution.
Brandon's coming off 2 top 5 finishes in a row, his last 2 starts, but not going to be tonight, unfortunately.
So with 73 laps remaining, if you would come to pit road now, you have enough fuel to make it to the end. Will this be the decision that a lot of these teams were hoping that would happen, but maybe just a little bit earlier than they were expecting?
Yeah, no, Ray said that Paul Andrews, crew chief for Alex Bowman, would like to come about lap 140. We're only going to be about 10 laps shy of that. You see Brandon Davis just lose control. He was running up in the high side, and that car makes pretty significant contact against the safer barrier. I think I got it fun. I've got to come in here. Watch this now. See way up at the top of your screen, Brandon getting into the outside wall. Nelson Canache goes down on the apron to avoid him. Looks like he just got a little bit loose in the center of the corner. Couldn't quite get it back.
Smacks the safer barrier. A lot of damage to the left front of that number 99.
I think if I'm one of those guys running up front now that did not pit on their most recent caution, I think I've got to think about coming now.
And that's the top 7. 7 guys did not come onto pit road, as well as Mason Mitchell running in the 9th position. He also did not come in under the most recent caution.
Yeah, Frank Kimmel was able to make his way up to the 8th spot with those fresh tires he put on. Here they come.
Alex Bowman leading the lead lap cars onto pit road. Let's go down to Jim Trado.
Well, Chad Boat said, I'm getting too tight, guys. That 2-second difference was going to grow. He said, I can't stay with him. So his crew chief Mike Dayton said, we got 70 laps to go. We got to make this stop work. They're going to change the tires again and try to get this car freed up for Chad Boat in the curb record Chevrolet. Great top 5 run thus far. We'll see how he does to the finish. This will be his final set with that 2-round adjustment in the right rear. Ray?
Still just a little bit free for Alex Bowman. You see the wedge wrench in the rear. They're going to make that adjustment. Also air pressure on the right front. New sponsorship this week from Menats. That is a local construction company, and they feel like they've got this car dialed in where they want it. They just needed to be a little bit tighter. And for the 45, he said his car is really, really good. Don't change it. It gets better and better on the long run for Clay Rogers.
Alex Bowman able to beat Chad Boat out of the pits. Frank Kimmel will inherit the lead. Frank came in on lap number 116. We documented, but he stayed on the racetrack, and he will be our leader on this restart.
That was the 25 of Brendan Poole. You saw the hood going up on pit road. Stay with us. More from Prairie Meadows 200. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week when the Mets will be in Atlanta to take on the Braves as both teams look to gain ground in the NL East. Or Carlos Beltran and the Cardinals will battle Joey Votto and the Reds, or the Tigers square off against the Orioles. Fox Saturday Baseball telecast presented by Budweiser returns this week at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area.
I just happen to know that the Tigers won it.
Congratulations to the Detroit Tigers. I know that's your hometown. Welcome back. Prairie Meadows 200 under caution, and let's find out what is going on with the 44 team in just a moment as we take a look at our Aaron's lucky dog. Mason Mingus in that 32 gets a lap back. And now let's find out what's going on with the 44. Jim.
Well, as we talked about before the race started, Frank said we had 70 laps on our tires before we made any changes. Our mock run felt really good. These past 8 laps of green, yeah, they made the call. They're going to make their second stop and changed those tires on lap 118. They only have 8 laps of green, but Frank radioed in, this is the best my car has felt all race long. So Jared Prince and the team made a couple of big swings before qualifying. They've been adjusting on this race car. We talked about how they've had some crazy loose conditions, tight conditions in the same lap, and the outside line working for him. They made the right call. According to the crew chief, Jared Prince, he said, I think we have enough left, and I think we made the right changes on that last stop. We've got a lot of laps, yeah, but we did practice on really old tires for a long time this morning.
Thanks, Jim. You see Jared Prince up there. Also up on the pit box in the red shirts, that is Matt Crafton, driver of the 88 Toyota.
Menards Toyota. Camping World Truck Series. We'll see him tomorrow in qualifying as well as the race.
And Matt Crafton won in the Camping World Truck Series on this racetrack a year ago.
Also announced that he would run the ARCA race that we have coming up at Lucas Oil Raceway here later this month.
In the 88 truck team pits the 44 car when they're together like they are today. Take a look at the race summary after 133 of 200 laps. Out in front, it is Frank Kimmel. Can he make it win number 75? His storied career. Well, he's got a few laps to go before we get to that point, but 3 cautions slowing this pace down just briefly. Dominant performance early on for Brennan Poole until the right front tire goes down on that race car. He goes into the wall. Then he brought out the second caution, a similar situation. The right front tire goes down, smacks the wall again. Now it's time for the green flag to come back out. Kimmel leading the field this time. Matt Lofton running in the second spot. Alex Bowman, Grant Enfinger, and Eric Jones, your top 5 coming out of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air.
Nice jump by Frank Kimmel. Opens up 2 or 3. Carling Sue, car slow on the start. That black car middle of your screen.
That was a 10 of Rick Clifton. Very slow on the restart. And so good evasive maneuvers by most of the drivers there to avoid that 10 still. Also problems for the 3 of Drew Charleston. He's not up to speed. Down the backstretch, he looks like he's going to crawl back to pit road if he can. We stay green, and Frank Kimmel out to a 5-car length lead early on Matt Lofton.
Matt Lofton, Alex Bowman goes side by side for the second spot. Matt Lofton came down pit road on this most recent caution along with every other car other than Frank Kimmel.
Lofton and Bowman. Bowman in the 22 on the inside, trying to make his move. Lofton on the high side by side as they work their way through the front stretch and in front of the grandstands. And now Bowman's going to take the spot away from Lofton.
Well, he drove it hard down in the corner. Look at him slide up in front of Matt Lofton in the 16 car. There's Grant Enfinger, the 36 car. Right now he runs in the 4th spot. Matt Lofton's going to try to get back under Bowman. Not going to work. Caution out again.
Caution one more time. 25 of Brennan Poole was slow. Also, big issue with Nelson Canache in the 66.
Zach Ralston in the 90. Both of those cars carried our onboard cameras. That's Zach Ralston's car right there. We saw the damage early on in the race to the 66 from practice. Nelson Canache, well, he's got the other end now.
Yep. You've got a rear clip and a front clip on a race car. He bent up the rear clip in practice earlier today, and now he's bent up the front clip here in this race.
I believe that's going to be terminal for Nelson Canache. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. This is from Zach Ralston's onboard camera. Looks like Zach lost control. We don't even see Nelson Canache.
Now we're right along with Nelson. And a close call there and into the wall. He was trying to avoid that 90.
He did a nice job slowing down, but unfortunately the 90 car slid right down in his path and he had to take evasive action. When he did, you see the result.
A lot of damage to that 66 as the 90 making his way back onto pit road. That's Zach Ralston. Getting the 90 and the 66 bringing out this the 4th caution of this race as we're closing in on the final 62 laps of racing. Aaron's lucky dog going to the 17 of Chris Buescher. So Buescher grabs a lap back. That will make it 15 cars on the lead lap. Take a look at this last restart. And it was the 3.
Drew Charlson. That's slow on the restart. The 90 of Zach Ralston does a nice job avoiding him. And there went Canache to the inside of the 90.
And we ride along with the 90.
Looked like the 3 of Drew Charlson when he was trying to go from the 2-3 shift. It never worked. Something may have happened to his transmission, and he caused a lot of guys to take some evasive action. Canache's out of the race. I mean, out of his car, fortunately, walking to the ambulance.
And Phil, you mentioned the 2-3 shift. They start in second gear on these restarts.
Yeah,
correct?
typically they'll restart in second gear, and it looked like as he was trying to go from second to third, it looked like his car took off okay in second, but he never made the 2-3 shift.
So the safety crews have put their attention to Nelson Canache. He goes into the ambulance and will make his way to the infield care center, and they will work on getting his race car off the racetrack. Download the free Speed app for your phone. Keep speed at your fingertips and fuel your racing passion with Speed on your phone. Get the latest race results, news, photos, and exclusive videos. Download the app from iTunes or the Android market now. Racing under the lights, short track style from Iowa Speedway. The ARCA Racing Series, just 59 laps remaining in this one. We ride along with the 90, Zach Ralston.
Jack gets in the throttle exiting turn number 2, loses the back end. Does a nice job keeping it out of the wall. But unfortunately for Nelson Canache, didn't work out quite that well.
And we ride along with Nelson now. He slows down. You see, trying to decide which way to go. He chooses the inside line. That was the wrong line to choose.
Sometimes you have to make that decision.
Right.
You have to do it in a split second. Unfortunately for Nelson Canache, it absolutely worked out as bad as it could.
So a lot of damage to the 66. He's been taken to the infield care center. Take a look at the next 3 races. They're all on Speed. Next week we go to Chicagoland. That is a same-day event. ARCA Racing and the trucks same day. Then Lucas Oil Raceway. They do a Friday night race there at Lucas Oil, and then Pocono Raceway once again with the Truck Series.
A couple double headers coming up here in our next 3 races.
Always a lot of fun. Great folks the ARCA Racing Series. As we see the laps continue to wind down, what do you put the odds on that 44 getting back to victory lane, Phil?
I think as strong as the 22 of Bowman has been, I think he's the guy to beat. Grant Enfinger has also been extremely strong. Matt Lofton hasn't shown much strength. He actually got a lap down as we restart this race. So I think it's Bowman Enfinger right now.
Alex Bowman running in the second spot, had a very good restart, able to stay within a car length of that 44 of Frank Kimmel as they continue to work through 1 and 2, 3 wide behind him.
It's the 41 of Michael Simcoe. He's right now 2 laps down. He's being shown in the 16th position.
Grant Enfinger on the inside of that 16 of Matt Lofton. Those 2 fighting for the 3rd spot. Enfinger in the blue 36 at the bottom of the track. Lofton up into 16, and they're going to split the 41 of Michael Simcoe.
It sure looks like the outside groove has really come on here. See Grant Enfinger not able to do that much on the inside with Matt Lofton.
And you talked about the progressive banking at this racetrack, so the higher you get up.
Oh, trouble! Around goes Simcoe.
Simcoe up and into the wall. That brings out the caution once again as the field avoiding him.
Michael Levine did a nice job in that 95 car avoiding Simcoe.
5th caution comes out. Amazingly enough, we went 76 laps before the first caution came out, and since then haven't gone 76 laps without 5 cautions.
Cautions breed cautions, yes, unfortunately.
Coming up on the final 50 laps of this race, and we'll take another look at why the caution came out this time.
See right side of your screen, it looked like Michael Simcoe's car got a little bit loose. He had to chase it up the hill. There may have been a little contact from Hockenbraw, but that was after Simcoe got loose and had to chase his car up the hill. Heavy traffic right there with a lot of lead lap cars. See him already sideways maybe before there was any contact made.
Hockenbraw was coming up on the inside of that 41.
Clay Rogers on the outside. There's Levine getting by in the 95 car. This is Spencer Gallagher's car. Stay pretty calm there.
Yep. Watch Simcoe go up into the wall and remained at a cautious pace. Crew goes to work on that 41 to see if they'll be able to get him back out there and competitive.
A lot of damage to the rear of that car. He was actually in position to get the lucky dog. Unfortunately, he was a reason for the caution, so he will not get that.
Simcoe was running in the 16th position. He is 2 laps down, but he's the first car that has scored a lap down, and that's what makes you eligible for the Aaron's Lucky Dog unless you bring out the caution. Ray.
You know, Rick, I'm with Phil on this about the 22. I think that St. Jude's Children's Hospital Dodge is very, very good. And earlier in the race tonight, I was talking about the crew chiefs having to make a decision about what car to bring. Well, the 25 brought a brand new car. The 17 brought their Pocono car. So what did the 22 bring? They brought their short track car, the one that won at Winchester and at Salem. And so far, Alex Bowman saying he just loves it the way he did on those other races. It's his favorite chassis. And tonight, I think they're the car to beat.
Been currently running in that second spot. So we'll see if he's able to take advantage of a little fresher tires. About 13 laps less than what Frank Kimmel has on his set of tires.
Yeah, and some of those laps were caution laps. So I think right now tires are even, fairly even. But Alex Bowman has shown a lot of strength in this race, but he hasn't been able to get by Frank. He's had a couple shots at him and a few laps after the couple restarts, and hasn't been able to do anything with him.
Milcaduno gets the Aaron's Lucky Dog. Aaron's Lucky Dog. So she will get a lap back. She was scored 3 laps down. Now she'll be 2 laps down. Again, we have 15 on the lead lap. Milcaduno is running in the 16th position now. Getting ready for the restart as we see Clay Rogers coming off of pit road and back out onto the racetrack. He's been extremely competitive tonight.
Yeah, Clay had a little bit of damage from that incident. He went around the outside of Michael Simcoe as he went up towards the outside wall, so they had to repair a little bit of damage. He is going to catch the tail end of the field here before we go back green.
2 by 2, they're making their way out of turn number 4. Green flag goes back in the air. Kimmel with a great restart. Alex Bowman giving chase. Back there in third, Matt Lofton fell way behind on this restart.
How many times do you think Frank Kimmel has restarted the race leading in his ARCA career?
Well, he's got 74 wins, and you know that there's been numerous races that he probably didn't get to victory lane, that he was out in front for those restarts, and we'll see if he's able to use that experience and hold on. He's got a hard charging Alex Bowman behind him, though, the 19-year-old going after Frank Kimmel.
Alex slid sideways at the exit of turn number 4 that last lap, so you know, maybe Frank's been saving his stuff. We saw how strong Alex Bowman was. We saw how strong that Clay Rogers was, and Brennan Poole early on. Maybe Frank was using that experience and, hey, oh, a little bit of contact, and there's Clay Rogers again with Tom Hessert.
Got into Tom Hessert, and Buscher was also involved in that battle for the lead. Bowman on the outside. He's going to try to take the spot away from Frank Kimmel.
I think right now Alex Bowman has the preferred line on the outside. I think that's the fast way around this racetrack right now.
Alex Bowman takes the lead from Frank Kimmel as they cross the stripe. 48 laps of racing to go.
Great side-by-side battle for third right behind these guys. There it is right there. Infinger on the inside. Matt Lofton on the outside. Infinger's got it.
So Infinger in the 36, just in front of that 16 of Matt Lofton. Now Kimmel looking to the inside of Alex Bowman for the lead once again. Bowman out in front. Kimmel running second.
Alex Bowman already a 2-time winner this year. Frank, who do you think's hungrier right now? Alex Bowman, who's already won twice, a 19-year-old, or Frank Kimmel, a 74-time winner in this series?
No question about it. Frank Kimmel wants to get back to victory lane probably more than any other driver in racing, as he is so close to the all-time record in the ARCA Racing Series. Iggy Katona has 79 wins. Frank Kimmel was 74. Jim.
And with the change to ThorSport Racing came a couple of changes for Frank Kimmel this year. Number 1, the pit crew is the 88 truck team. The driver we saw in the pit box earlier, Matt Crafton, had words of wisdom to Frank saying, change your arc if that car gets tight. Under the most recent caution, he said he knows where the 22 is fast. Unfortunately, they took that outside line from Frank to get the lead, but he was coaching Frank on the pit box, the race winner last year at Iowa here in the Truck Series. Matt teammate Frank Kimmel on how to get through that corner when the car starts to tighten up and it's to change your arc on entry. That should help you stay close to the 22.
And Jim, it's been working too, because Frank's definitely been better this last portion of the race than he was early on.
See that 55 of Eric Jones.
Ooh, he gets sideways at the exit of turn number 4, chasing down that 16 of Matt Lofton. That's 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th right there all together. Ooh, Lofton gets a little bit loose down there in the center of the corner.
So Lofton just in front of Jones and Chad Boat. They've been working their way by the slower lap traffic, but have been staying down to the bottom of the racetrack. And you've seen our lead lap cars making the move on the high side. As you mentioned earlier, that outside line looks to be the preferred line now as far as where you want to pass.
You see Matt Lofton that time running a little bit lower. He got through that corner pretty well. Gained a little bit on the 55 of Eric Jones. Chad Hockenbraw, the right side of your screen, that 58 car, he's in that battle.
Still 15 cars on the lead lap. Jones and Boat 5th and 6th. Bowman, Kimmel, Infinger, Lofton, and Jones your top 5. Then it's Boat, Hockenbraw, Reed, Gallagher, and Mitchell. Mason Mitchell hanging into a top 10 spot again in his first ever ARCA Racing Series start.
There's the 15 of Ryan Reed, the 23 of Spencer Gallagher. Spencer Gallagher has continued to get stronger and stronger as we take a look at his onboard here as he drives it hard down in the corner. Wasn't quite able to clear Ryan Reed. Let's see if he can beat him on exit.
He does. Takes the spot away as they rocket down the backstretch. So Gallagher now moves up into the 8th position. He'll set his sights on Hockenbraw, but it's not over for Ryan Reed. He tried to battle back on the inside, not able to get by.
Saw Gallagher make the pass on the inside. As soon as he got by him, he moved back up the racetrack, up into the second groove.
Running that second groove now, trying to keep the momentum up. Ryan Reed still hugging that yellow line as he worked through the turns. And looking once again as they go into turn 3. Looking to the bottom of the racetrack.
There's that great battle. Eric Jones has been able to get by Matt Lofton to take over the well. For a moment, he got by him anyway.
It doesn't take long in a short track. Jones on the bottom of the racetrack.
He's going to be able to clear Lofton up off the corner. Chad Boat now on the high side of Lofton.
Boat's got a good run in that 98 trying to get by Lofton. Lofton staying to the bottom of the racetrack. Here comes Boat working the high line, and it looks as though Boat's going to be able to get by Lofton now.
Yeah, I like the line that Chad Boat's been running. When those guys have been running on the bottom, he's been running up high. Here's a good battle for second. Enfinger trying to do something with Frank Kimmel. Grant's down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Grant Enfinger, oh so close so many times. 3 times he has finished second in the ARCA Racing Series, but has never gotten a win. Could tonight be the night? Right now, battling for that second spot with Frank Kimmel.
See that shallow entrance in the corner. Stays right against the yellow line. Frank making a nice arc, and Enfinger gets a little bit loose down there in the center. Frank's making that nice arc into the corner that Matt Crafton was talking about, keeping the momentum up.
Enfinger getting sideways, and that 36 lost a lot of the momentum he had as he was getting ready to get by that 44 of Kimmel.
I'm not sure that Grant Enfinger, if he was able to get by Frank Kimmel, he may be able to chase down Alex Bowman. Alex has opened up about a second-half lead, but these guys have been racing hard side by side just about every lap.
Last time by, Bowman had the fastest lap, but then it was Chad Boat with the second fastest lap and Kimmel the 3rd quickest as they crossed the stripe. So Alex Bowman looking to make it 3 wins in the 2012 season. Stay with us here at Iowa. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway. We have just 30 laps of racing to go to find out who gets to victory lane tonight. Alex Bowman out in front of Grant Enfinger and Frank Kimmel. One of the drivers out of the race early, a lot earlier than he would have liked. Standing by with Jim.
And to pay off, our team has seen a rookie spotlight, Nelson Canache. Glad to see you're okay out of the medical center. What happened on the racetrack, Nelson?
Well, a couple cars in front of me, they were fighting, and they got contact side by side, and one of them is spun in front of me. I was kind of holding the car to see where the car was going to go, but I thought the car was going to go up and then suddenly just go down, and I couldn't avoid the contact, and I went just straight to the wall. So we were working on the car through the race because we start with the car a little bit loose, and we were improving the car every time we go to the pits. By that time, I think we got a good car to get back to top positions, but you know, these things happen. Trying to keep going on the race, but you know, I'm okay. But you know, kind of disappointed, but this is what it is.
Thanks for your time, Nelson. Let's now check in with Ray on the race leader.
Well, Jim, you know, it's always fun to watch rookies in this division, and one of the most impressive has obviously been the driver of that number 22. This young kid has put up some really great numbers this year. Check out these stats, and obviously these aren't updated from tonight, but this guy has really thrown down some numbers. The 4 wins impressive for sure, but what may be the most impressive is the fact that most of the racetracks that this kid has been to, he has never seen before. Tonight is 13th race. He has been to this track before, but of those 13 races, only 3 tracks had he ever seen before he got in the car that weekend.
Yeah, he's been very impressive. And Phil, I talked a lot about Mason Mitchell and how impressed I was with him making his first start in the ARCA Racing Series. I actually forgot about Chad Boat, and this being his first ever start in the ARCA Racing Series. We talk about him so much in the K&N Pro Series. I was thinking almost that he was a veteran, but this is his first ARCA start, and he's currently running in the top 5 and 4.
Yeah, he's been strong this entire race. Has never been out of the top 10. Had a great qualifying effort. His guy's doing a great job keeping him up front.
There's Mason Mitchell in that 6, just behind Jared Marks in the 12. Matt Lofton in the 16.
He's battling for the 10th spot.
All running 4th position here.
All side by side, 3 wide.
That's the way we like it. 24 laps of racing to go. Jared Marks on the outside takes the spot, and now it's Mason Mitchell on the inside going by that 16 of Lofton.
See, right behind them is a 17 of Chris Buescher. This has been an off day for Chris Buescher. We rarely see him, as we got to have a great side-by-side battle right here for 7th with Chad Hockenbraw and Clay Rogers.
Rogers in the 45 on the inside, Hockenbraw in the 58 on the outside, going by Brennan Poole, who was so dominant early on in that 25, but after a right front tire going down, he has dropped quite a few laps down.
Yeah, Brennan right now is 30 laps down, being shown in the 29th position, so the points are certainly gonna shift here. Now, what I was alluding to is the fact that Chris Buescher looked like he was going to have a horrible day in the points, but right now he's fought his way back on the lead lap, as you see him trying to get by Matt Lofton for position. He runs right now 13th, trying to take 12th away from Matt Lofton, with Brennan Poole running 29th. It's going to be a pretty good day for him, but you've got Alex Bowman out front there.
Alex Bowman, who at the start of this race was 3rd in the point standings, looking to potentially get another win. And so Buescher fighting with Brennan Poole, who's having an off night. That is going to tighten this points race up even more.
Yeah, Alex Bowman right now came in this race about 170 points behind Brennan Poole and about 145 points behind Chris Buescher. He's going to make a nice dent in it if he can hold this thing off here.
So Alex Bowman has a 1.5 second lead. We're going to slip away, take a quick break. When we come back, the next flag you'll see, we hope, is the checkers. Prairie Meadows 200 with just 15 laps remaining from Iowa Speedway in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Alex Bowman out in front in finger.
Oh, trouble.
Boat and big problems. Jared Marks is involved, as well as the 94 of Milcaduno, bringing the caution out once again.
Jared was running up in the top 10. There's
that
the 99 Brandon Davis brought out one of our earlier caution flags. A lot more damage to the 99 car now.
Looks as though it's going to be a sprint to the finish. Jared Marks in the 12. A lot of damage to that race car.
Jared was doing a nice job running up in the top 10. Milcaduno just got our most recent Aaron's Lucky Dog. You see the damage to her car. Chad Boat was just able to get by Frank Kimmel for the 3rd spot right before the caution flag came out.
13 cars on the lead lap.
Zach Ralston right now. Zach being shown in the 22nd spot. Here we go. 3 wide racing for just a moment. So Milcaduno was on the inside. It looked like the 15 car of Ryan Reed got a little bit loose, lost control.
And it looked like Milcaduna got up underneath that other car and checked up a little bit, thinking she might have been getting loose, and she checked up, and a chain reaction took place.
It looked like Zach Ralston may have got tapped in the rear as he hit the brakes to avoid that incident. Maybe the 35 of Tom Birdie may have been the one that maybe ran in the back of him.
It's never a good thing when they bring out the big hammers.
See the damage to that 35 car for Tom Birdie.
So another one of the Venturini Motorsports cars with damage. Jared Marks bringing the 12 back to the pit road. Closing in on the final 10 laps of racing for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards here on Speed. Prairie Meadows 200. 175-mile race, 200 laps. The final 10 coming up. Bobby Gerhardt's going to receive the Aaron's Lucky Dog and get a lap back. That puts him 3 laps down, and he is running in the 14th position.
Yeah, Bobby soldiered on. He had to go to the back of the pack for the start of the race, but right now running up in the top 15. So pretty decent night for Bobby.
Chad Hockenbraugh currently running in the 11th spot. Jim Trado.
Well, I pitted from 10th, guys. The only car that came down on pit road on this caution was the 5.8 of Chad Hockenbraugh. His crew chief, Kevin Reed, just told me they came and pitted, put 48-lap old tires on the car. They said the car was just too loose. They wanted to take what they could here and maybe get a couple more positions because the car was too loose to advance. So look for him to come from 10th or 11th or 12th or wherever it may be. He was in a 10th spot. So again, he put on some old tires to try to finish this one up and get a few more spots.
See the signal for 10 laps to go as well as 1 lap to go to the restart. We will be single file because we're inside of 10 laps to go. So that's good news for Grant Enfinger, maybe to take a shot at Alex Bowman without any lap cars getting in the way.
Yeah, great news for our top 13, all on the lead lap. So they won't have to deal with the slower lap traffic anymore.
Well,
Bowman, Enfinger. Well,
I don't think Larry Barford realizes that it's a single file restart.
Yeah, they're letting him know now. You got to back off.
They have waved off the restart, though. We're going to go at least 1 more lap.
Get everybody back in line in their proper position. Again, Alex Bowman out in front. Then it's Enfinger, Boat, Kimmel, and Jones, your top 5. Clay Rogers back there in 6th. Gallagher, Reed, Mitchell, Mingus, your top 10. Let's go back to Jim Trado.
Well, at strutmasters.com, Chevy of Matt Lofton. He also came down pit road, guys. He is on lead lap. He said the car was sliding tight center up, so what they did, they came down and pitted as well. They changed 4 tires on his Chevrolet with crew chief John Wolf making the call. Fuel, track bar adjustment again, and air pressure. They've done that on each of their 3 pit stops now. His tires have 28 laps on them, right?
Jim, down on my end, the same thing happened for Chris Buescher in that number 17. Realize he's at the tail end of the lead lap. He'll restart 12th. Big question is, can they gain some points back here? They did the same thing. Put old tires on, but they have them cold. We'll see if it gives them any advantage here towards the end of the last couple laps.
I like that strategy, guys. I mean, put some fresher tires on. Again, they're not fresh tires, but they are cold. They have less laps on them. Try to make something happen here. Maybe steal 3 or 4 positions towards the end.
And that would be huge. As we wind down, I follow Frank Kimmel on Twitter, and he said that it's a little tight in the corners.
Really?
How can he tweet in the car?
I don't know.
How does he do that?
He just has the phone with him. You know, we have a container for the radio. You have one for the phone.
Very impressive. Alex Bowman bringing the field out of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air. 9 laps of racing to go. And now past the stripe, 8 to go for Alex Bowman.
What a great restart by Alex Bowman. He took every thought of Grant Enfinger going up there and wrestling with him on this restart away. He opened up 4 or 5 car links.
Battle for position amongst the top 13.
Ooh, Clay Rogers gets a little bit loose, makes a little bit of contact. Looks like that's Eric Jones, the 55 car Clay's racing with.
Clay Rogers on the bottom and Eric Jones in the 55 up top. They stay side by side as they go down the backstretch. Very close racing, under 7 laps to go. Rogers trying to hold it to the bottom of the racetrack. Jones just up above him.
See Matt Lofton right side of your screen. Chad Hockenbraugh both getting by Mason Mingus to move up into the top 10.
Bowman now with a 7/10 second lead over Grant Enfinger. Chad Boat running in the 3rd spot. Kimmel is 4th. Eric Jones is 5th.
This battle continues for the 5th spot, side by side. Clay Rogers on the bottom. Clay looks like he has it. He has him cleared.
Makes the pass. 5 laps of racing to go. So now Clay Rogers trying to hold off Eric Jones in the 55.
I think Clay Rogers has designs about going forward, not worried so much about Eric Jones in the 55. He's driven away about 3 car lengths. Spencer Gallagher now jumps to the inside and makes contact.
Gallagher into the side of the 55. Eric Jones keeps it going the right direction. Right behind him, the 15 of Ryan Reed. It makes a hard move. And he stays just behind that 23 of Spencer Gallagher. So Gallagher got into the side of the 55. He gets into him again. He's going to turn him around. The 55 of Eric Jones goes around. Gallagher goes by.
Caution flag comes out.
Phil, I think there might have been some intentions on getting that 55 around.
Yeah, looked like there might have been a little payback there. They made some contact coming off the corner, then some more contact down the straightaway. But there may have been some body damage to the 23 car, Spencer Gallagher, and he may have lost the front end. That may have caused him to make contact with Eric Jones. It was certainly not deserved of Eric Jones to be run into like that.
Back-to-back laps. The 23 slid up into the 55 there. That was the first bit of contact.
That's exit of turn number 4.
So across the stripe they go. A little more contact. You saw the 55 come down on the 23. And then through 1 and 2, up the racetrack goes the 23 into the rear quarter panel, and around goes the 55.
Yeah, tough break for Eric Jones. He's run up, if not in the top 5, very close to the top 5 this entire race. Looked like the 23 of Spencer Gallagher got back in the throttle in the center of the corner. When it did, that car went straight. Let's watch his hands. We're going to be on board the 23. That's where it started. This is back at turn number 4. Now they're going to come down the straightaway, and Eric Jones is going to say, hey, stop running into me. Now we get down in the corner. Watch and listen.
He was feathering the throttle.
Yeah, he may have had enough damage from that contact that his car wouldn't turn. Nonetheless, Eric Jones is the one that pays the price.
So it brought out the 7th caution. Jim, what was happening?
Short and sweet. Spencer Gallagher got on the radio once everything calmed down. He said, man, I really did not want to get into the 55. This kid's on a career run right now, and unfortunately has that damage on the right front.
We go into overtime. This one's scheduled to go 200 laps. We would not be able to get the advertised distance complete. So they are going extra laps here. Scheduled right now to go 202. Letting them know next time by will be the green flag. ARCA Racing Series finishes under the green flag as long as they make sure to get the white.
And they will absolutely finish. Now, if we get a white flag and something happens, we'll try it again.
Right. They'll keep trying.
They'll keep trying. Right now, Alex Bowman would love to get another restart like he did on that last one. He had 3-4 car lengths on Grant Enfinger by the time they got to turn number 1.
So Grant Enfinger, who we've documented has finished second 3 times, but never has been to victory lane, just behind the 22 of Alex Bowman, who has 4 career wins, 2 of those coming already in the 2012 season.
Grant Enfinger's trying to stay right with him. This may be the most important restart of his career right here.
Can he get to victory lane? Can he get by the 22? We're about to answer those questions. Coming out of turn number 4. Bowman just in front of Enfinger. Green flag back in the air.
A good restart by Alex Bowman. Not quite the one he had last time. How about Clay Rogers, though? Jumps to the inside of Frank Kimmel. 3 wide behind him.
Kimmel trying to work that middle line. We saw the 98 of Chad Boat go by on the outside. Here comes Clay Rogers to the inside. Alex Bowman with a 3-car length lead over second place. Grant Enfinger as they cross the stripe. That time by. White flag in the air one more time around. Kimmel trying to hang on to that spot. Clay Rogers looking at the inside of Chad Boat.
I think Clay's going for third.
Alex Bowman works his way through 3 and 4, comes out of turn number 4, slides out of 4, checkered flag flies. Bowman wins his 5th career race in the ARCA Racing Series.
Outstanding job by Alex Bowman, Paul Andrews, that entire Cunningham Motorsports team. Oh, Matt Lofton gets turned around on the last lap. After the checkered flag, Matt finished in the 7th position.
He's sideways in between 1 and 2, gets it straightened back out.
Can't say enough for Chad Boat and the job he's done in his ARCA debut, finishing 3rd.
Chad Boat, in his first ever ARCA Racing Series start, comes home in the 3rd spot. Mason Mitchell finishes 10th in his inaugural race. Take a look at this. This was after the checker. The 15 gets back into the back of the 16.
Well, that wasn't nice.
Well, at least he did it after the checkered flag. So Bowman will celebrate once again. The only driver in the ARCA Racing Series in the 2012 season to win 3 races. And let's hear from the winning crew chief. He's with Ray.
And Rick, Alex Bowman came on the radio and said, what a pleasure it is, and thanks for the opportunity to work with Paul Andrews. It's been a great season already with 3 wins, Paul. What's next?
I hope 4. You know, we're looking forward to Chicago. You know, we felt like we got shortchanged at Michigan on the 2-mile track. Had a great car there in Pocono, and you know, we can hardly wait to get there. I mean, I think we can go to 4. You know, we're excited about that. He does a great job, and he's on the wheel. He can say all he wants about me, but he does a heck of a job. He makes me look good.
All right, congratulations. Go celebrate. That's Paul Andrews, winning crew chief for Alex Bowman.
And that was quite a burnout.
He's had some practice this year.
He's getting pretty good. 5 wins, 3 of them coming this year. And now he'll make his way into victory lane one more time. St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Research Hospital on the side of that race car.
And that's on the hood, came on board, local construction company.
The 19-year-old making that very familiar trip back to victory lane. Before we see him get in there, let's go back to Jim Trado.
Grant Enfinger, another tie of your career best finish of 2nd. What was the difference with this Dodge?
You know, really it was a bunch of hard work by Kelly Kowski and all the guys that worked for Mike Algar and made this possible. So appreciate everybody. Got a lot of local support from this race. So Kevin Kircher, Jason Tennell, everybody pushing to make this race happen. Appreciate those guys. So, man, we came up a little short again, but that was everything we had. We had a really good race car in the long run. Those guys were a little bit better than us on a short run. They get away from us a little bit on the restart, and then we'd reel them back in. So really great job by everybody, and thanks to Breland Homes and Worth USA and BB&T for making all this happen. Just wish we were talking in victory lane.
Grant, you and the Allgaiers went together last year for a full season, finished 4th in points. When will we see you back in ARCA?
We'll be at IRP at Indianapolis. I guess it's Lucas Oil Raceway now, so sorry about that. But we'll be there in a couple weeks, and other than that, we'll just have to see how the year goes.
The thoughts of Grant Enfinger, guys, a great run to 2nd again tonight.
Yeah, 4th, 2nd place finish for Grant Enfinger. Oh, so close 4 times.
That young man that finished 3rd, though, Chad Boat, he may be the happiest guy at this racetrack.
I don't know. I think the happiest guy is about to get out of the 22. Let's go down there, right?
All right, they're getting the net down right here on Alex Bowman's race car, and he has got the Hoosier neck brace on. ARCA hat for the win. Confetti coming down. Alex, when we were at Michigan, everybody said you guys won't make the next race. You go to Winchester, you win it. You come here and you whoop them. What's left for this team this season?
Man, I don't know. I definitely got to just thank everybody, Paul Andrews and Manat Inc. for coming on board, and I just can't thank them enough. Mrs. Manat, they called us today and wanted to put their logo on the hood, so it's a really cool deal. Got to thank St. Jude's, Penske Engines, man, everybody at Cunningham Motorsports, Briggs Cunningham, Carey Shear, just awesome race car. We weren't very good in the beginning, but we sure were there at the end.
What was the key this weekend to getting the car right where you could be in contention to win?
We were decent in practice, you know, but I mean, it really doesn't matter with this race car. this chassis number 81. We've run it 3 times this year, and we've won all 3 races with it. So if we could take this thing to Daytona, I would. But I think the key is probably Paul Andrews. I mean, he's the smartest person I've ever worked with. It's pretty amazing to get to work with him.
Okay, good leadership and a great man behind the wheel. 3rd victory this season for Alex Bowman.
And all smiles for Alex Bowman. Alex becomes the 7th different winner at Iowa Speedway, meaning we have never had a repeat winner at this racetrack in the ARCA Racing Series. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Messina Wildlife Management. Stop animal damage with Messina Wildlife Management. And by Aaron's. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. Tuesday night on an all-new Hard Parts, Joe gets in over his head, hunting down special parts for a vintage British sports car. A one-of-a-kind 1917 Model T. I would guess one of a kind. Don't miss an all-new Hard Parts, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. Let's go back trackside to Jim Trado.
Well, the driver that used up every opportunity in those last couple of restarts to gain position is Clay Rogers. Clay, great run to 4th. What was the difference for you on those restarts to get those spots?
Well, just, a lot of guys were having problems spinning the tires on restarts, and I was able to time it where I could get a good dive to the bottom. And our car turned the center really good all night long compared to the competition. So we had the advantage to enter turn 1 a little bit lower and still be able to cut the center. And for at least a couple laps anyway while the tires were cool. But I just got to thank these guys, Beard Oil Company, and this race team. We've fought hard over the last few years trying to get a win. I believe we had a car that might have been capable on the real long run tonight. But it was an exciting night nonetheless. We had a couple problems on pit road, had some damage with some lap cars, and I've just been told at one point my gas man's pants were down around his ankles on the pit stop. So I guess we're happy to come home 4th, but we'll be back at them hard at IRP.
What could be the difference? At Toledo, you came back from a spin to 7th. Here you had all those issues and still had a great run again. And hopefully at IRP there's no issues and we'll maybe see up front all night. What do you think?
That's the plan. Most of my career has been short track racing, so we're hoping that we can really shine there, and we're looking forward to it. We'll Doug Jackson, the good thing we had those cobalt pads on the back tonight because they sure made up for those other brands that were in the front. We had some problems there too. So we get to the racetrack and get all our I's dotted and T's crossed. We'll be held to pay.
It'll be fun to watch him a couple of Friday nights from now, guys, at Lucas Oil Raceway right here on Speed.
Take a look at the unofficial results. 2 Dodges up front there. Alex Bowman, Grant Enfinger.
Yeah, terrific job by Chad Boto in his first ever start, finishing 3rd. Frank Kimmel ended up with a strong top 5 finish. Frank knocking on the door, trying to get win number 75.
Spencer Gallagher involved in the incident toward the end of this race.
Mason Mitchell, we talked about him a lot, ends up with a top 10 finish in his debut in Eddie Sharp's car.
Bobby Gerhardt, 14th. Joe Caduno involved in an incident, finished 16th.
Michael Levine with a nice top 15 run. Good start for him.
Continue back through the field. Jared Marks with a strong run comes home 25th. Brennan Poole looked as though he had the dominant car, finishes 28th in this one.
Some of the guys that had problems early on were not around at the finish.
Ray Dunlap.
Well, I'm standing by with Spencer Gallagher. He has a 7th tonight, which will tie his best of the season. Looked like you might get a top 5 if you hadn't had the contact with the 55. If you had a chance to go back, would you do the same thing or would you do it differently?
I think at the end of the day, I pulled everything I possibly could of the Allegiant Travel Chevy, and I think we had a fantastic result of that. First and foremost, obviously, I got to thank the people that put me here, my crew, Dave, everybody that worked on this car. But, would I have done it differently? You never enjoy wrecking somebody, but at the end of the day, welcome to short track racing. Enjoy your stay. It's going to happen here and there. I wish I could have got around him differently. I wish I could have placed better differently, but do I ultimately regret short track racing in short track racing manner? I can't say I do.
We always know there's going to be some beating and banging when you come to Iowa.
That was a great opportunity.
Well, Chad Boat, what an awesome run. What a great debut here in ARCA. Tell us how you got to 3rd place tonight.
It was a hard fought day by all my guys. I can't thank Curb Records, Billy Butt Performance Exhaust, everyone that helps us get to the track. And we had a good piece. It was just a 3rd place piece. But, congratulations to Alex. He did a good job. He probably had the best car all night. So we'll take that top 3, move on to ORP, and try to get a win there.
You've had some runs with him in the USAC open wheel. Now you guys are both transitioning into stock car racing. What is it about what you and Alex Bowman bring to stock car racing at such a young age, and doing so well?
You know, I think it's just the open wheel stuff teaches you car control. You know, Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, they all come from that background, and you can run the car looser than you know, the asphalt guys, I believe. So, you know, I'm proud of the guys, and we'll take this third and go on.
Does it feel like a win tonight?
I mean, nothing feels like winning, so it feels like a third. You know, we'll take it and we'll just go on.
Thanks, Chad.
So smiles on a few different faces. One of those, of course, being Alex Bowman with his 5th career win, 3rd already this season. Does he move into the front runner position as far as this championship goes?
I think so. With the problems that Brennan Poole had today, he certainly moves towards that way. But Chris Buescher's going to leave here with a point lead.
So Buescher, Bowman, Poole, all tied up there in the top 3 in the point standings, and you can't ever count Frank Kimmel out. He's still up there in the top 4, battling for another championship in the ARCA Racing Series, and he was battling on the racetrack as well. Coming up next, keep it right here on Speed. It is Alex Bowman going to victory lane in the ARCA race.